Symbols are nothing without the women and men that give them meaning.
That shield represents a lot of things to a lot of people.
So we're partners, co-workers.
Not necessarily a team.
No. We look damn good, though.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6 finale trailer video. I'll also talk about post-credit scene theories, obviously, because they have to wrap up so many storylines. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. I'll be doing Loki episode videos after this, too. That's going to be the next big Marvel Disney Plus series happening. But careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on Falcon and Winter Soldier so far if you have not been watching the episodes. Obviously, starting with that post-credit scene there, John Walker making himself a new Captain America shield. I'm sure that will totally end well for him. Still wearing the Captain America costume that he was given when the government named him Steve Rogers' successor, except the whole thing here is he's giving off this really dark, twisted Iron Man 1 energy with this scene. The way they play the hammer strikes before the scene starts, like it starts in black with the hammer strikes, then they show the montage of him banging on the shield the exact same way that Iron Man forged the Iron Man Mark I armor. John Walker made that shield in a cave with a box of scraps. Everyone posts all the memes. And the funny thing about that Iron Man moment, it's so iconic. Marvel has used it in so many of their trailers the last several years. They actually ended Avengers Endgame, the credits, with the sound of I think 5 hammer strikes. It was the closest thing that we got to an Avengers Endgame post-credit scene. Although technically there were some post-credit scenes that were supposed to happen that they wound up just sort of cutting out because they turned them into Disney Plus series. Like there was going to be a WandaVision post-credit scene setting up the events of WandaVision Episode 1, but Paul Bettany said that Kevin Feige called him and said, we got to cut the scene because we're just going to save that for when we get to the WandaVision episodes. But they did actually film footage in Avengers Endgame that was going to be for a post-credit scene for his character, for Vision and Wanda. But the whole thing with the hammer strikes is if you actually listen, if you rewatch Avengers Endgame, after the actual credits, you just hear 5 hammer strikes, and it's meant to be the bookend. Like you begin with Iron Man 1, he influences so much of the tone of all the movies that came during the Infinity Saga, so it only made sense that they would end the Infinity Saga with an Iron Man moment, the most iconic Iron Man moment, next to him snapping the Infinity Gauntlet. Only the whole thing with John Walker here is that he's on the fast train to Crazy Town. Like, obviously, he doesn't think that he's crazy. He thinks that he's the only sane person here, like yelling at this big panel who's trying to take the title of Captain America away from him, basically giving him everything but a dishonorable discharge. They took away all of his benefits, his rank, pretty much everything, told him that he basically had to take a giant L for the rest of his life. So the way they're telling his story, they want his character to feel like the government, the military that spent his whole life up to this point training him to be this weapon, telling him that he was special, that he was the next great hope for the country, to feeling like they discarded him like a piece of trash, which is a common theme of veteran stories. So they obviously want you to sympathize with him a little bit, like the government just kind of throwing him away when they're done with him. Like in real life, you hear about veterans suffering from PTSD, other kinds of disorders that they get after they're discharged, and a lot of them wind up becoming homeless, addicted to drugs. Tom Holland, Mr. Spider-Man himself, even just did a movie with the Russo brothers, the people who got done directing Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, the Captain America movies, which a lot of this series draws from. It was called Cherry. It was all about the terrible things that happened to this U.S. soldier when the military discharges him, but fails to help him get the proper care that he needs. So John Walker right now is kind of feeling that energy, and the Contessa, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, comes to offer him salvation, so to speak, even though it sounds really sinister the way she's talking about it. They want you to feel very weird about her character, like she is definitely not a good person, even though she pretends to be. She was kind of like that on Veep, like a very slippery character. She kind of seemed like a dirtbag, even though she was kind of a good character at the same time. Just this really weird anti-hero type of character. That show was more of a dark comedy, and obviously Falcon and Winter Soldier is more of a drama, but I did feel like her cameo scene here was a little funny in a dark way, the way she was talking circles all around John Walker, like he was just confused the whole time. What's happening here? This business card, there's nothing on it. What's going on? But she slips in and tells him everything he wants to hear, because clearly she's manipulating him. You taking the super soldier serum was the best thing that ever happened to you. It's made you very attractive to, quote-unquote, some people. People basically looking for mercenaries to hire, people with nothing left to lose. That's basically what her character is all about in the comics, though, manipulating people the same way that Baron Zemo is a master at manipulating people. She is 100% bad news, obviously. But he's eating this all up because the sting of feeling betrayed by his government is so fresh. So he is on his way to going full Karen on Falcon, Winter Soldier, and the Flag Smashers in the finale. Like the Karen version of Captain America, the same way Scarlet Witch went full Karen during WandaVision for a little while. They never really addressed that during WandaVision, like she just kind of flies off at the end of the series like, oh wait a minute, didn't you manipulate and trap all these people here for a whole week? We didn't really address that. So I think the question with John Walker's character isn't so much what he's going to do next. We all expect him to go off the rails. It's more about how they're going to set him up to be more the US agent character from the comics and potentially join the first version of the MCU Thunderbolts team. I know there are all kinds of theories about how they're going to end the series with his character, but I don't think you kill off a character like that. Like, he's got super soldier serum, he's got skills, clearly, and he's just really complicated, which I think just makes for really good drama and situations in potential Thunderbolts series. The whole thing with that, though, is that in order to be a member of the Thunderbolts, you kind of have to start out being a criminal in prison. That's the whole deal. It's like Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. So that would mean that he'd have to be arrested at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier in the finale at some point. They could potentially arrest him for violating the government's order to stand down and no longer act in any capacity against the Flag Smashers, which clearly he doesn't listen to because we see him fighting them in the finale trailer. But then on the other side of this, obviously you have all the Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff. They're going to have to stop the Flag Smashers from killing anyone because they're obviously going off the rails too, without escalating things even more. That's the whole thing. That was John Walker's problem, is that yes, they did need to stop the Flag Smashers, but in a way that wouldn't help the Flag Smashers rally more support for their cause. Which is basically what happened when he killed that Flag Smasher in public. Like, everyone saw it, and the way it was spun made him seem like the villain, made the Flag Smashers seem more like martyrs, rallying more support for their cause, escalating things even further. So it sounds like what happens is, at some point, the Contessa, like she says, pick up the phone when I call you, and she's gonna call him and set him on the Flag Smashers. Like, go to New York City and get rid of these people. The slimy way her character sounds, she wouldn't tell him to go kill a bunch of people, she'd just say, deal with the problem. And that would basically be her way of telling him, kill all of them, we don't care, just get rid of them. Remember, one of her comic book names is Madam Hydra, and you don't name someone Madam Hydra if they're a good character. Also, just talking about some of the fight scenes, the really cool thing about Falcon's new Vibranium Captain America suit, the wingsuit that he's looking at here at the end of episode 5, is you remember how John Walker ripped his old wings out, destroying his suit basically? Well, now Falcon has a vibranium wingsuit in addition to the original Captain America shield, which is vibranium itself. John Walker only has the regular metal shield, no vibranium weapons, no vibranium armor. So think about it this way, they get into a fight with each other, Falcon can basically slice his shield in half like butter with his wings. It'd be like Thanos slicing Captain America's shield with his giant axe weapon. And to boot, the entire wingsuit is way stronger just in general, so Walker wouldn't be able to rip the vibranium wings out this time. What I'm hoping for is that when Falcon puts on the new suit and heads into battle, he doesn't totally understand how all the new functions work, and because it's Wakandan vibranium tech, it's way more advanced with way more abilities than his old wingsuit. And he just winds up learning on the fly, like activating the new wings, and it just becomes a really badass, cooler version of him flying around in the wingsuit. We've seen him use the wingsuit in fights before, like the Batroc scene during episode 1. Just imagine a much bigger, badder version of that happening with the vibranium version of the suit. Also, you have to remember that Batroc is going to be going after him in the finale too, so it's like he's got to fight John Walker and he's got to fight Batroc at the same time as well. That vibranium is going to come in handy. The finale is supposed to be over 60 minutes long, so obviously there are a whole bunch of storylines to wrap up. Hopefully they answer all the bigger questions. They got into a bit of a problem during the WandaVision finale. Because of the virus shutdown, they had to cut a whole bunch of scenes that resolved some of the storylines. So that's why in the actual version of the finale that we wound up watching for WandaVision, it just felt like there was a lot of stuff that was missing. Like, wait a minute, you didn't answer all these questions that you picked up on during the series. Hopefully, because they had a little extra time to finish the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes, they don't have the same problem. The whole thing with the Contessa character, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, I'm not expecting a ton with her in the finale, but she might wind up being the person at the end of the show, or in a post-credit scene, who contacts John Walker and Zemo about the Thunderbolts. Like, instead of Thunderbolt Ross, who a lot of us have been expecting to put the Thunderbolts together in the MCU, her character could be the one to start putting the team together. And because her character in the comics had this long-running association with Nick Fury in S.H.I.E.L.D. before she revealed she was a Russian sleeper agent, she could be working with Thunderbolt Ross on the DL. Like, her showing up in broad daylight at this big government hearing for John Walker implies that she has ties to the US government. I still think the evidence is stronger that she winds up being the power broker versus Sharon Carter. I think the whole thing with the Sharon Carter storyline, Emily Van Camp has been saying in her interviews that all Sharon really wants is to get the pardon from the US government so that she can go home. So everything she's been doing in Madripoor using Batroc the Leaper, the Flag Smashers, has something to do with that. My only complaint with her storyline is that they're kind of giving us the Cliff's Notes version. There are only 6 episodes. It'd be nice if we had 10 episodes so you had more time to spend with her character explaining exactly what she's been doing this whole time. But right now they're just implying that she's been playing both sides of this chessboard in order to get that pardon, manipulate events to her benefit. And if Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character really does wind up being the power broker, Sharon Carter could have some association with her, just trying to outmaneuver her.